Hey y'all, when I was a kid, I had a homework assignment that asked me to figure out what my parents did for a living, and it was a questionnaire. And both my parents are computer scientists, but my dad tends to ramble just like me, so he went on for about 10 minutes about how he was a computer nerd. Then I asked him what his job was, and he said architect, his job title. And I looked at him like he had 10 heads. I was like, you are not an architect, man. You do not build buildings, because that's what I thought it was, because I did not want anything to do with tech. Unfortunately, despite me not wanting anything to do with tech because I didn't want to become my parents, I did become my parents. And now when I think of architecture, I think of something like this. And what is this? It looks like hieroglyphics and colors and arrows, but what does it mean? It's just basically data flowing through compute systems, like things that can do something with the data, and through routing and security and routing stuff. So it's just like things that pipe data from one place to another. The cool thing is, this is like, it's tiny little boxes, right? But these tiny little boxes come together to build systems that give you Google and Spotify and Netflix. So like tiny things come together to become a big thing. And the thing is, when you're creating these systems, you often are adding stuff to it constantly, right? It's constantly changing. And so you constantly need to be updating these diagrams, which often people never do. If someone did the work to come up with this, they probably are never going to update it ever again. And systems change. The problem is that when people go to integrate with the system, now the diagram's not updated, so they have to go through all the code to figure out what changed. So ideally, there would be an easy way to not just generate these diagrams, but also update them. And we have a couple different ways of doing that. There's draw.io and similar systems which will allow you to generate this how to clean my cat's litter box flowchart automatically. But then when you go to update it, if you need to change, like, oh, where do I add the fresh litter? What happens if I'm out of litter? So you need to add a new diagram. You have to go and edit it yourself. There's no way to like generate it that I can find on any of these sorts of tools. And I don't like GUI interfaces. Like, I don't like to drag and drop things. That's just not, I mess up and it's not perfect and it's out of whack and I get upset. So there's another thing that is more precise, and you can write code. Everything under the hood is some sort of code or configuration eventually. And it would look something like this. Then you can take a tool called PlantUML, and with this code, it will generate something like this. And that's super cool, but I don't want to learn how to write UML, because as I'm adding stuff and I have more and more things being added to my mess of a system, it becomes really hard to add spacing and stuff. I don't really know UML though super much, so if anyone's a UML god and it's really easy to add spacing, Kurt, just add padding, then go ahead and tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your disgruntled takes. But I don't have time for that. I want to generate a diagram in a minute, and if there's a change or an update, I want to be able to add that in a minute. And so what I like to come up with, and the great thing about this too is, what I'm going to tell you is that AI is going to write the code for you. If you're saddled with a legacy database that no one came up with an architecture diagram for, or it was updated 4 years ago and never touched again, you can get it to run over their code and tell you what's talking to what. And that's great for microservices especially, because who knows what's talking to what and in what way. Maybe you have a distributed monolith, which is worse than a modular monolith, y'all. But anyway, we're going to get into it. I have set this up for you to use on any system by creating a Docker file. A Docker is a container that sits on top of your operating system and uses it, and it uses Linux kernels. So if you aren't on Linux, you have to install a lightweight virtual machine called Docker Desktop, which I included in this link here. Otherwise, you can just install the Docker engine in Linux, and you just run docker compose upd and exec into the container. That's all it takes, and then you're set up with PlantUML and Claude, and we're gonna do it. But just so you can see what's happening under the hood, it installs PlantUML Claude, and these are all of its dependencies. and then it creates a wrapper script for PlantUML because we don't want to do Java jar stuff. We just want to cheat. So I also have a composed file, and all the composed file does is set up a volume in your current workspace, so anything that you do in this container will also end up on your actual machine. So I did that for you too. But we're going to get into it. Let's build this thing. It's going to take a minute to build. I made this video about 6 or 7 years ago and I never updated the Docker container, please drop an issue in my GitHub and I will fix anything that's broken. Otherwise, it should work. That's the great thing about Docker. As long as you have Docker installed, I will not help you with your Docker install problems. I'm sorry, I'm busy. I will help. I would help if you asked me. But please do not make it a GitHub issue. Just put a comment in my video. Okay, it takes a minute the first time, then it'll cache everything. So unless you do a Docker system prune all, you should be good. We're gonna, one second. Let me show you. The container is now running. We're gonna exec into it. I named it in that Docker compose file. This is, I is interactive, T is TTY, PlantUML. Claude is the name of the container, and we're going to run bash, which just tells it to open up a shell prompt. So we don't have a browser in this container, so you need to copy and paste this. Please do not try to use my API key. I will delete it before I publish this. So now we are in Claude. And we're trying to find problems first, but because I told you that if you write out your diagrams, you can find issues. Hey Claude, can you please create a diagram called pizza ops, which is a flowchart containing crust, sauce, cheese, toppings, and oven stages. Very easy diagram. Same thing that we just generated before. I'm kind of impressed because Claude normally adds a bunch of notes that I don't really want. But if you want notes, if you're like, how do I prepare a crust? Then you can ask for notes. That's the great thing. So I told you it was going to be in your workspace. I'm going to use trusty old Finder. We'll find this. And here's what it came up with. Very similar to the example that I gave you. Now let's make it a little bit more complicated. Who's making this pizza? And how fast can they make it? Hey Claude, I have a UML diagram called pizzaops.puml. Can you add a swim lane containing one worker who can make the pizza in 1 minute and a oven with a capacity of 10 pizzas with each pizza taking 10 minutes to bake. The worker should add the pizzas to the oven async, which just means as soon as the worker's done with the pizza, it's going to put it in the oven, and the pizza can have up to 10 ovens parallel processing. Please show if there is a bottleneck, and if not, the expected throughput per hour. So we'll let it generate. I don't want to learn UML. I'm not going to read it. We'll see what it says. Oh my lordy. Max throughput 60 pizzas per hour. No bottleneck, system balanced. Both worker and oven 60 pizzas per hour. So it found what I wanted. It's a little all over the place, but I think it did a pretty good job. We'll start with this. Okay, Claude. I have a pizza ops.puml file. Can you add to the workers swim lane 2 new workers with the same throughput? Please update bottlenecks, etc. So oven is the bottleneck. It figured it out. Let's tell it. It only wanted to add 2 workers. Okay, work smarter, not harder, Claude. I'm fine with this. I'd prefer it to not have as many lines everywhere because this is lots for my eyes to grab onto. So let me just say we have lots of arrows and see what it does. I'm saying there is a pizza ops PUML file. I want both workers represented in the same swim lane, and there's a lot of clutter with arrows. Can you decrease those? There's a couple of conditional blocks with nothing in it. Let's see what it gives me. Like I said, I'm not here to learn UML. I just click and go. Let's see what it came up with. It is prettier. 2 workers, it just added it as a note. I'm fine with that. Wait for oven space. But, so, if you're a pizza making operation and you're trying to show your boss that you need more oven space and not more workers, you could come up with a diagram. That's my demo. If I don't have much else to say, but if you want to know more, you can go or try it out yourself. I'll put the link in the bio, not the link in the bio, the link in the description for my repository. All you got to do is git clone this, or you can git clone with your SSH token. But look up how to add a SSH token to GitHub and then do that. SSH key. It's late for me, but I've done a pretty good job given that the demo gods have been against me. I know that they say that's only for live demos, but technically everything is live when you're doing it in the moment. Remember to write architecture diagrams. It'll help your team and anyone you're onboarding onto your team. It'll help you figure out what your bottlenecks are or why your distributed monolith isn't working in a microservice way. It'll do great things for you. Write an architecture diagram. Have a fun day. Bye.